I'm Michael D. Day. This is Baton Rouge Labor Radio, and kind of in a dead season. Everybody waiting for the football games to come on. Political season's over. And what I wanted to talk about today is these many political flyers that I received over the last election cycle. And maybe sometimes in the next hour you want to call in. I'm going solo today. Solo, I hope you can hear me. But the number is, if you want to call in, 225-343-1075. That's 225-343-1075. Lack of callers, I'll just play some music if I get tired of talking. That number again is 225-343-1075. And we are Baton Rouge Labor Radio, and we're sponsored in full by the Louisiana AFL-CIO and the Greater Baton Rouge Building and Trades. We're broadcast on WTQT 106.1 FM. We're also on WTQT.org if you can't pick us up and you got to go to the computer. I've had best results with the app TuneIn. I can catch a real clear feed of this show, and it works for me. Maybe it'll work for you. This morning, like I said, over the last election cycle at my home, I received 33 different flyers or folders or whatever from everything from the senatorial race between former Senator Mary Landrieu and current Senator Dr. Bill Cassidy. And I was going to go over some of them. Garrett Graves. I think the only ones that I didn't receive that I can think of, and this is from, like I said, from senatorial, judge, school board, the congressional race. The only one looking through these flyers this morning I didn't receive was from former Governor Edwin W. Edwards. That's the only one that I think didn't get a flyer to my house. Now, that's not saying that he didn't send a flyer out. By the way, if you want to call in, number's 343-1075. It's area code 225-343-1075. We'll get you right on the air. Now, we can, the first one that flyer that was mailed to me, and these are not inexpensive. These are not cheap flyers or anything like that. These are pretty expensive flyers. Cost a lot of money. Fine print. This one is, it's like one of those postcards you mail when you're on vacations. Greetings, you know. And it's kind of a, you know, the postcard you mail from Florida. If you went on vacation in Florida. Hi, having a great time. Wish you were here. Well, this is the first one I picked up. Shows the Washington Monument. Shows the United States State Capitol. And it says shows the Lincoln Memorial. It shows the Lincoln Memorial. And it also shows Mary Landrieu's. I'm doing this by myself today. I haven't done this, and I got to be honest with you, I'm going to struggle today. But anyway, if you want to call in, the number is 225-343-1075. 1075. And I was talking about this postcard-like political mailer that I received with the Washington Monument, the United States Capitol, the Lincoln Memorial, and what a photograph on the same page, on the same front of it. It says Mary Landrieu's $2.5 million home. And I guess it says greetings from Washington, D.C. It's like one of the old postcards that you would receive, from one of your relatives that went to Florida somewhere, Disney World or whatever. You open the inside of it, and it says, Washington has been great for career politician Mary Landrieu, but bad for Louisiana. EPA regulations that will destroy Louisiana energy jobs, Obamacare, $715 billion in cuts to seniors' Medicare, higher gas prices, skyrocketing electricity bills, soaring food prices. Mary Landrieu's Washington clout isn't working for Louisiana. Vote November 4 to end Mary Landrieu's clout in Washington. Now, it's paid for by the Americans for Prosperity. Americans for Prosperity paid and is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. And both sides, I think, go over the top with these mailers and these little 30-second commercials you see on TV. And I guess that's the point of why I'm doing this subject today on Baton Rouge Labor Radio. And because I've got some problems with this particular flyer. Former Senator Mary Landrieu worked in D.C. And yes, nobody can deny she was a career politician. 18 years is a career. And it goes farther back than that. Secretary of State, or Treasurer, I think, and, representative. So, yes, no one can argue with Senator Landrieu being a career politician. That's true. But the point of it is, it seems like whichever party that gets elected wants to become a career politician. So using that against someone is great, I guess, until you've done your 18th or 20th year and you're a career politician, touting all your experience, all your finesse and grace. And, you don't want to lose those D.C. perks because there are some perks that these politicians get. As far as cuts to seniors' Medicare, from everything I've read, and if anyone listening wants to disagree with me or agree, they can call in 225-343-1075. The cuts in Medicare were more from the cuts from the Medicare Advantage that were pretty much overfunded to begin with from everything I've been reading. And that, if anything, the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare as it's known as, extended the life of Medicare. So that's just another distortion by the Americans for Prosperity. And, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and like I said, anybody can call in and correct me if I'm wrong, if they've got something that says I'm wrong. The Americans for Prosperity are the same people that want to make a working person work till they're 70 years old to draw their Social Security. Well, that That would extend the life of Social Security and Medicare. Because if you got to work till you die, you can't draw it. So, you know, it's just a shame what's going on both sides, really. We're the ones here, the regular working stiffs, the people out there going to work every day are taking the brunt of this food fight they're having. Okay, they also blame Mary Landrieu for higher gas prices. Now, I filled up yesterday over at Costco, the new Costco, and I paid $1.62 a gallon. I can't remember the last time gas was this low. And they're blaming Mary Landrieu here for higher gas prices. And I don't know anyone that has worked with the, what's a nice way to say it? I'm not going to say in the pocket of, but worked with oil companies, oil drillers, and all of that. So, I mean, this is a very misleading, which about all of them, all 30, I think I have 33 of them, 31 to 33 of them, and they're all misleading. Most of them are misleading. But this one, they really brought out the big guns, and I guess it worked. You know, either people were tired of a career politician, which I guess now Dr. Bill Cassidy can become a career politician, which I think he's been running for office for quite a while already, if he's not considered a career politician already. And the I guess semi-scandal out at LSU, at the charity hospitals or LSU, where he may have allegedly been getting paid for hours that he wasn't there. So who knows? Who knows? I can say that Senator Landrieu came to our union hall sometime before the election. And, you know, I've been a union member out of the Plumbers and Steamfitters Local 198 for going on 40 years. And I got to be honest with you, I've never seen a sitting United States Senator in our union hall before. I have never seen that. And I don't know whether it was an act of desperation or what it was, but she did come. She took pictures with everyone, very cordial, very friendly, and everyone was wishing her well. But she had a hard row to hoe. And, you know, I can't understand it really, that people don't vote or they vote against their own pocketbooks. It makes people are voting for wedge issues, as I call them, you know, or I've heard them called. So here's another flyer, same one. Senator Landrieu shows pictures of her in 1979. They even threw in a picture of Jimmy Carter, Rosalynn, and his daughter Amy on this one in 1979. Career politician Mary Landrieu was first elected in 1979, and since we paid her nearly $3 million. Washington has been good for Mary, and it goes into the same thing. And yes, Americans for Prosperity. Oh, they've got an address. 7047 Jefferson Highway, Suite B, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I didn't even know they had an address. Uh, Vote November 4th to end Mary Landrieu's clout in Washington. Well, it happened. That's Frankie Valli. Big Girls Don't Cry. And speaking of big girls, I have a flyer here. We're doing flyers today, all hour. If you want to call in, 225-343-1075. If you have any comments or criticisms of the show, you can go to Baton Rouge Labor Radio on Facebook, and you can leave them there. You can like our page if you like, too. If you like it. If you don't like it, don't like it. I've got another flyer here, and it's paid for by the Friends of Lanier. The Republican Party endorses Lanier Whitney. Lennar Whitney, excuse me. It's got a picture of Ms. Whitney and Lennar for Congress. East Baton Rouge Republican Party has endorsed Representative Lennar Whitney for Congress in her campaign against Edwin Edwards. Now, they had about 13 candidates in this race, and she picked out former Governor Edwin Edwards. Everybody knew that Governor Edwin Edwards was going to make the runoff, and I think they were scared of not making the runoff. And so everything was targeted at former Governor Edwards. Now, she's leading conservative organizations agree. Lennar Whitney is the real conservative with a 100% voting record to prove it. Endorsed by the East Baton Rouge Republican Party. Woody Jenkins heads that, and to me that's no surprise. The Tea Party of Louisiana endorses Lennar Whitney for Congress. Louisiana Right to Life, 100% pro-life legislature. Guardian of Small Business, NFIB, 100%. Perfect Louisiana Association Business and Industry score, 100%. Lifetime member, 100% pro-NRA voting record. Legislature of the Year, Louisiana Orthopedic Association. Champion of the Louisiana Legislature, Louisiana Medical Society. 100% Louisiana Family Forum, outstanding family advocate. Conservatives across the districts are lining up behind the most conservative candidate in this race. It's easy. She has a voting record to prove it. Well, all of that, this expensive flyer that was paid for, doesn't even, paid for by Friends of Lanier. Post office box it gives here and a phone number. And they had a, I think it was a writer with the, it may have been the Cook Political Report that reported, that he had been interviewing congressional candidates from all over the country he's interviewed, I think he said, about 300 of them in the last 8 or 10 years. And that Lanier Whitney was the most scary and uninformed that he had ever interviewed. I think the man was with the Cook Political Report. And, all of these conservative endorsements, and I think she still got to run fourth. So I guess my point being is that sometimes these flyers don't work. Um, I don't think that East Baton is as conservative as what most people think. Right now, I think people are looking for something that works. I mean, every one of these Republican candidates have come out. We need to repeal Obamacare. Well, you know, the guy sitting in the POTUS office, President of the United States, the Affordable Care Act is nicknamed after him. They call it Obamacare. And pretty much, I don't think you're going to get 60 senators to agree to repeal Obamacare. You couldn't get 60 of them to agree how to implement it. So, you know, of all the candidates running in that congressional race, thank goodness, and this is my opinion, that this woman didn't get elected. I mean, I don't even see how she's in the office where she's at. When you got people that don't have a dog in this hunt and come out and say that, you know, they're well-respected writers and political analysts and saying that, hey, this woman's scary. If you got anything to say, you can call me at 225-343-1075. Everybody must be sleeping or squirrel hunting or something today. Well, now wait a minute. I've just run across something. It's very interesting. On one flyer, they say that Mary Landrieu cut $716 billion to seniors' Medicare. And on another flyer, they say $156 billion from Medicare Advantage. Average benefit cut $2,800 for affected Louisiana citizens. I'm trying to figure out which one's true, but we're flipping back and forth. You know, it's a shame that it's got to come to this. It's a shame that people don't get out to vote. They cut these congressional districts up when one party or the other gets in full control, and it goes that way. And, you know, these judges' races, here's one for school board, paid for by Stand for Children Louisiana, IEC, for Mr. Robert Maxey Sr. And, you know, elect Robert Maxey Sr., School Board District 4. I think Mr. Maxey lost. Shows that he's a veteran, a school superintendent who supports fiscal accountability, a system that is accountable and transparent so we can see our tax dollars being spent responsibly, schools that empower and reward good teachers. Robert Maxey Sr. grew up attending East Baton Rouge Public Schools before serving our country in the U.S. Navy, returning home a disabled veteran. Robert Maxey is committed to using his military experience to serve schools and our community. You know, that might not be a bad thing, because the public school teachers that I've spoken with off the record, neighbors, I got neighbors that are public school teachers, and they tell me the number one problem is that parental involvement is very low. Discipline in the East Baton Rouge Parish schools, is to the point you just about got to pack a gun to get thrown out. I went to East Baton Rouge Public Schools, and believe me, speaking from experience, when I went 1,000 years ago, it wasn't that hard to get thrown out. And if you did get thrown out, there was a price to pay when you came home. I don't know how much good that these vouchers and all of this stuff is doing. If you want to get involved in the conversation, call 225-343-1075. We'll get you right on our hotline here, baby. But that seems to be the main problem in the schools, the discipline. All the teachers had high ratings. How do you figure that out? I think it was 94% of the teachers had high ratings. I think there was a 2 or 3% where teachers that need retraining, such as that. 3% of teachers that need retraining is not causing this problem. The problem lies somewhere else. It's just a shame that the public schools are not the first choice. You've got parents that are running for these vouchers, and I got a child that's going to start school in a couple of years, and everything I'm hearing about these vouchers, my kid's not going to go to a private school. My kid will go to a private school because I'm not going to deal with what's going on in the East Baton Rouge Parish system right now. And hopefully I'll be able to send her completely through private school. Cost a lot of money. And it's just a damn shame that the public schools are not the first choice. The public schools should be the first choice. I pay school taxes. Why wouldn't I want my child to be able to attend a public school? And I don't know, from everything I've heard, these schools that are coming in that are supported mainly by vouchers are in it for one reason. Money. Money. And regardless, I'm going to find a school that doesn't take vouchers because they bled the problems over. They're having discipline problems in the private schools once these vouchers were taken. They're having big discipline problems. You can't, there's some point, there's got to be a line some point. All children should be educated. I've got no problem with that. I've got no problem. All children should be afforded an education. But if you got, like I'm being told, if you've got half the class whose parents just could not care less whether their kids are educated, and the only reason they're going to school is because the law says you got to send them there. And these kids need to be educated. Now, I don't know how you're going to do it. But when it starts interfering with the children that want to be educated and the parents that are coming in, baking cookies, going to soccer matches, doing everything they can possibly do to get their children educated, and the other half of the class is interfering with that at a big rate, from what I'm being told. Something's got to be done. Some way or another, you got to separate the kids that want to be educated and the parents that are supporting them, and the kids that, I'm sorry, that don't have any support. It's not their fault. I understand this. But what do? Do you save half of them that want to be educated? Or do you let just everything go down in an inferno, burning inferno? Do you not educate any of them because the half that don't want to be educated are causing such discipline problems in school that the other half can't get the education that they want? If you got a comment on this, call me up. We'll get you on the air, 225-343-1075. Would love to have someone that disagrees with me or agrees with me. Hell, I'd talk to the milkman right now. Sitting here in the beautiful studios of WTQT 106.1 FM, WTQT.org. Give me a call. And we're back. This is Baton Rouge Labor Radio. We're on WTQT 106.1 FM. You can call me. I'm Michael D. Day. I'm a rank and file member with the United Association Plumbers and Steam Fitters, Local 198, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We've been talking about these political flyers that I've received over the past election cycle. And we've talked about it from the senators. I don't think we've talked about Garrett Graves yet. We talked about Lennar Whitney. And from everything I can see, the flyers sent out, well, let's see, here's one. Well, I don't know who sent this out, but this one is on former Governor Edward Edwards. After 60 years of public service, here's Edwin Edwards' record. It's showing him in an orange jumpsuit, and it says, on December 6th, tell Edwards enough is enough. So this must be after the first election in November, and it goes into all his legacy of scandals and corruptions and failed policies. Well, you know what? His record as governor if you take out the conviction and some of the shenanigans that he pulled, he's got a pretty good record. He seemed to get things done for the people, which I'm not seeing that done anywhere now. I mean, with this governor we have now, I mean, he's coming back to cut stuff out of higher education every year. Every year, the budget's going to be okay. There's not going to be any more cuts. And then, hey, we got to cut some more. Sooner or later, it's going to get to the point where you're going to have to ride a horse and buggy down a dirt road with a pooper scooper to clean up after yourself. There won't be any public services. And whatever public services you do have, now that's an exaggeration, I know. But, you know, it's getting to the point, where do you draw the line? This governor that we have today is purely, in my opinion, just selfish. Now, he's looking for higher office, which I don't think he'll get there. Probably get some kind of appointment if the Republicans do luck up and win a national election. But other than that, he'll be working for the Koch brothers or some conservative think tank that, you know, thinks you should work till you're 80 years old before you draw your Social Security. It's it's not a good situation for working men and women in this state or this country, the way things are going. I don't think my man, an independent just like I am, can get there. Bernie Sanders, I love Bernie Sanders. He's for the people. But if we have any luck in the state of Louisiana, as far as my opinion, Governor Jindal's done. He's cooked. He's toast. He hasn't made things work in this state. And you can hear him brag about all the jobs and all of that. And, you know, with all these refineries they're building, that was going to happen anyway, regardless of who was governor. So, you know, I don't know when people are going to just say enough's enough and get out and vote for the changes we need, and then hold the people accountable that we've elected. There's 25 Democrats that voted to just hand a little gift to Wall Street the other day. 25 Democrats voted with the Republicans. They're corporate Democrats. We're not holding their feet to the fire. Well, this is the best we can get. I hear all of that. Hey, you know what? Until it comes to the point that labor, poor people, people that are working minimum wage jobs, hold the politicians' feet to the fire. Why they got elected. That's not being done on, I can guarantee you, if working men and women held the politicos' feet to the fire that come in there under the veil of, hey, I'm a Democrat, I'm for working people, I'm for working men and women, and held their feet to the fire. Just like the Tea Party holds the feet to the fire of the other side. You know what? We got a phone call. We're going to take it. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, sir. I'm listening to you, and you sound like one of my old political science teachers from Louisiana Tech. You telling it like it is. You know, the thing is, we've been traveling all over this country telling all of these fabulous lies. Things we're talking about how great things are in Louisiana, but he won't tell you how many people have lost jobs, how many people have not regained jobs at the level that they were working before he came in.
Excuse me, sir. Please give your first name or your name and where you're calling from.
All right, my name is Donald Smith, and I'm calling from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay, Donald. We're glad you called. I'm sitting here by myself, and I thought I was just listening to myself, but I'm glad you called. Go ahead and continue, Mr. Smith.
Sometimes I think I'm talking to myself. Some people say, why do you even care? I say, because this state is a great state. I look at all these board appointments he recently made. I look at a lot of this stuff. He's called himself the master of ethics, but he's one of the most unethical people I've ever seen in government in my life. Ethics apply to everybody but him.
So, what do you think? What do you think, Mr. Smith? What do you think? What I brought up just a few seconds ago about working men and women and people. I mean, I'm talking from all walks of life, minimum wage to labor unions to state workers, holding the feet of the politicians to the fire for what they say they're going to do. I think it, in my opinion, and you correct me if you disagree, that, you know, you've got these people, they run under the cloak of the Democratic Party, which is supposed to be for working men and women. And then when they get there, that's not holding true.
Oh, you're so correct. You are so correct. Look at the Louisiana legislature right now. I can start parish to parish. We'll start in New Orleans. I don't have to call any names, but we had a very, very well-known senator on the West Bank in the railroad who is there, who's no longer a Democrat, who was a bona fide, solid Democrat. Moving on up, there were other people. They jumped off the ship like sinking rats behind that, what I call the sugar that was attracted to them. And, I'll tell you one thing I found out. Our former Senator John Rowe is working for the lobby firm that the son of Lindsay Hill Boggs owns. Did you know that?
No, sir, I did not know that, but, like I said, I'm looking for any day.
Jindal is going to become a high-paid lobbyist. Nobody's going to hire him in Washington. If you look at the polls, every time he goes to any one of those straw polls, he comes in not dead last or next to last. No one's taking him serious there. They're using him for what he is to raise money for the Republican governors.
And on the other side, I'm waiting to see who former Senator Landrieu is going to go to work for, whether it's oil and gas, K Street, or where she's going to land. Now, hey, I'm not saying a person shouldn't go out there and do whatever, they got to do to take care of their family. But when you use the position that you've had, the people entrusted you with, and just advance your own self and enrich your own self, I think that's wrong.
It is wrong, but they all do it, unfortunately.
Both sides.
They're all guilty of it. That's why I tell people, when you vote principles, what the people are doing for you. Look at your particular legislator. And unfortunately, we have a group of people that just suffer from voter apathy, and they only vote when they think they're going to lose benefits or whatever, or they just think that it's a particular. I happen to be a black person, sir, and we black feel like we are just. It is absolutely necessary to vote Democrat. I don't think that way. At one time in the presidential election, and I have to admit it, I might have voted for John McCain when he was the person that he was at that time.
Before he changed.
But I couldn't do it now.
Well, John McCain has got a record as being anti-labor as you can get, just about.
Yes, he is.
But, John McCain was an attractive candidate at one time. Then he goes and signs up this whack job, Sarah Palin, which...
Well, that was one of the dumb... I think she's going to carry that to his grave.
Sarah Palin should go to John McCain's senatorial seat at least 6 times a year, take his shoes off and his socks, wash his feet, and then kiss them. This man, John McCain, made this woman a millionaire. And
her family.
And people are buying into this stuff that she's saying. And, this is just bat crap crazy.
It's ludicrous. Not her, but after she came along, there were a lot of other incompetent people who thought they could do things in politics. All of a sudden, you had Joe the plumber and all of this stuff. So, we're dealing with people's lives with politics. Being a politician is almost like being a doctor. You've got to know what you're doing, have some knowledge of things.
Mr. Smith, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you know where Joe the plumber's working right now?
No.
I'll tell you, Joe. Now, I've traveled all over the country being a pipe fitter and not escaping the low-wage South, okay? But anyway, I'm from Baton Rouge, and I'm an independent voter. But Joe the plumber took a job in one of the car plants in Ohio, and all those car plants are union.
Mm-hmm.
So he had to join a union, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, which, if you listen to him, goes against everything he stands for. Now, Mr. Smith, we've got about another minute to go, and I appreciate you calling in. Could you just go ahead and give us a minute, whatever's on your mind?
Well, I'd like to start with this phony budget that has been going through the state and the way they're doing it. You know, Governor Jindal and his Division of Administration, Christy Nichols, they should be locked up because I've never seen a governor operate with mid-year budget cuts the way he's done. Higher education can't function like that. I couldn't work a business like that. And as far as Republicans on that point, if Treasurer John Kennedy were running for governor, I would vote for him because he's straight up and on point. He's one of the few people that will stand up to this governor and tell him this is what it is.
Nobody can deny that. Well, you know what, Mr. Smith? We've come to the end of our live hour, and we hope you tune in next week. My co-host, Neil Paul Miller, will be here. He's our business manager of our union. But we do, and we're on Facebook. You can go to Baton Rouge Labor Radio on Facebook, and I post a lot of information on there. We need all the likes we can get. I think we got 42 likes.
Well, I definitely do that. I'm definitely pro-union. I'm proud that Costco's came here. I would love to have seen Costco's get some of the tax credits that Jindal gave everybody else, but we know why they didn't get them.
Well, I'm headed to Costco sometimes today. I got to pick up a load of diapers. But anyway, we've got a saying on Baton Rouge Labor Radio, if you work for free, you'll always have a job. Live better, work union. Mr. Smith, I appreciate you calling in, and I hope you continue to contribute to our show.
All right, and what's your name again?
My name's Michael D. Day, and this is Baton Rouge Labor Radio.
Thank you, Mr. Day.
Come see us on Facebook.
I'm doing it now.
Have a good day.